Safira, very, very warm welcome. Good
Thank you.
afternoon
Thank
and good
you.
evening in India. I'm pretty sure it's good afternoon in
Yeah.
Nigeria. Are you in Lagos?
Yes, I'm in Lagos. It's 12:33.
Perfect. Welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you everyone that has been with us for the last 1 hour. We met four distinguished guests, three leading career counselors from Delhi NCR, and we just hosted a fantastic 30-minute conversation with Ms. Lakshmi Kumar, a truly legendary educationist, 4 decades of experience of leading schools, founding schools, director principal at Afsara Academy in Pune. And we had a fantastic conversation around girls' education and the career choices that make for a successful girl for an Afsara Academy student. Now we move on to Nigeria. I mean, I have with me my dear friend Safirah Ibenna, who is the founder and CEO of Breaking Grounds Group, which is a leading education consulting and career guidance advisory company based out of Lagos in Nigeria. My association with Safira happened recently in Ghana, in Accra, where I was there for a conference. I met her and had an honor and opportunity to learn more about the tireless work that she has been doing before starting Breaking Grounds Group. She had a fantastic career with some of the leading schools in Nigeria in the space of career guidance, career counseling. If I'm not wrong, she was with the American International School in Lagos or
Lagos.
Abuja,
Yes.
Lagos.
Lagos. Yeah.
Yeah, Lagos. And I mean, personally, also Nigeria is my favorite country out of all the 40 countries that I have traveled to, because first ever country that I traveled internationally was Nigeria in 2011. When
Oh,
I came there as part of my student recruitment trip, I had a lot of students from Nigeria that used to come to India to my university. Have traveled to Abuja, Kano, Lagos. I mean, the Lagos traffic is crazy. I hope it is better now. I mean, last I came was a few years back, but I remember staying at Victoria Island and then starting from Victoria Island Hotel to the airport 4 hours in advance, and then the 3 hours at the airport. So
okay.
7 hours in advance in total. So it was crazy time, but I miss being in Nigeria. I mean, it has become difficult since to travel to Nigeria for recruitment trips from India. I mean, there are visa issues and there are currency fluctuation issues and there are changing trends in Nigerian education. And in last few years, I kept a tab on Nigeria, and I saw a drop in numbers of students coming to India from Nigeria over the last 5 years, and they were being diverted to. I'm sure there were other opportunities that they were exploring, and they were going for those opportunities. But today is a wonderful day. We are going to talk about the update from Nigeria, from somebody who has been in the thick and of things there with the student community. Safira, we have student aspirations in Nigeria. As I said, I mean, in my own experience, practice, I've seen evolve rapidly over the last 10 years. But you have been there day in, day out, talking to
Yeah.
students, talking to families, talking to, I mean, all these years of experience. What are the biggest shifts you have noticed over the, let's say, past 5 years? And what's driving those changes? I know it's a loaded question, but if you can articulate it in a way, probably in 3 to 4 minutes, what can the audience learn from you? And by the way, this session is being recorded. And I forgot to add that this session is being recorded and we'll be using it on our social media channels. We will be putting it on our Intersect YouTube channel and also our other web pages that we have on the community. Thank you so much. Savira, over to you.
Sure. First of all, thank you for having me. I really appreciate the warm welcome, and I just appreciate the connection we had in Ghana. I noticed your interest, it was genuine, and so I had just noted that we would keep in touch. And so I'm glad that you were a man of your word and we're here today. And so, yes, I definitely wanted to share some of the shifts because it has been noticeable. I'm not sure if it's unique to Nigeria, but I'm starting to see more of student voice in college selections. I think in the past it was sort of kind of the parents were dictating more how it was going to go, and it was just understood because the students trust their parents, and security and stability is always number one. But I think with the rise of social media and AI, and Gen Z is really taken over to a certain degree. I think parents are now taking a step back, and they're just observing more what is going on. Because they have the data at their tips, they're observing the trends. They're observing the shift in employment markets, and the evidence is there that there is a shift from medicine. Engineering is still strong, but it's not your basic mechanical and electrical. We're now moving to software engineering, computer science, anything business is on the rise. Anything dealing with skill sets, I think more so than content knowledge, because we're now living in an age where secondary students don't really know what the job market is going to look like in the next 5 to 10 years. So they're just learning how to master AI. They're learning how to present. Presentation is everything. And so, yeah, I'm seeing that students are more open to non-medicine, non-engineering routes, finance, economics, business, digital marketing, because Legos in particular, I'm not quite sure on Abuja and Kano, but Lagos for sure. We have the business incubators, we have the innovation hubs, we have the entrepreneurship courses, the startup competitions. So business is starting to rise here locally as far as a viable career path instead of
Mm.
your standard um, medicine, if you will. So, I'm very curious when you said 10 or so years ago, are you talking about Masters Union with the startups and was that the
No, no, no.
institution you
That
were
was a
speaking?
different that
Okay.
was a different institution. I used to get a lot of students for pharmacy and then engineering
Yeah.
from Nigeria to my institution.
Medicine, pharmacy definitely was your
Yeah,
shortcut
yeah,
six
yeah, yeah.
figure route, but we're
Pharmacy,
now shifting more. Yeah.
pharmacy was our biggest intake from Nigeria, students
Yeah.
coming in to India.
Yeah.
Uh,
So it's shifting more to artificial intelligence, computer science, software engineering, business, finance. That's where we're seeing the rise more.
mm. So tell us a little bit about Nigeria. I mean the first of all, what you just said, I mean, can be equally applied to my Indian students. That is what I learned when I started traveling. The students remain the same everywhere. I mean, and coming especially from developing countries like India and Nigeria, same thing. I mean, people are looking for. I mean, parents are looking for stability. Parents are looking for secure careers. Parents are looking for ROI. Students are looking for, I mean, stuff which is in that those years. I mean, AI is the thing now. Pharmacy was probably a few years back when I was recruiting in Nigeria. I know for a fact, I know that uh, so these are the similarities, but I also know Nigerian. If you can talk about the Nigerian education system, the career choices for the students that you counsel, I mean, are they also looking at universities in Nigeria? Or I know, I mean, the same situation for you also persists. I mean, I had one of my colleagues in Nairobi, Shane, who runs this wonderful company called Cradle in Africa. Shane had put out a LinkedIn post with some data points on how the Australian government has almost the Australian visa acceptance rate is really low for African students. And I'm pretty sure it is the same because I worked in Africa. I know it's how difficult it is becoming for Indian students as well as African students to get visas, and then geopolitics of it, and then post-work visas, even if you make it to that university, the currency devaluations. So what are you seeing other options apart from the traditional four, destinations? Are you seeing some interest in those options? Like in India, we have now new age Indian universities that have been built in the last 15, 20 years. liberal arts, interdisciplinary education, private set up by private entities. But we have now strong interest in those is universities when students are not able to go abroad for undergraduate, they are deferring their undergraduate to India and then probably looking at going 4 years down the line for postgraduate studies to Western countries. So what is the trend in Nigeria, if you can talk about that?
Sure. So my expertise is more with the students who have dual passports, and immigration is not really an issue. But I am
Perfect.
familiar with the students that just have Nigerian passports, and they do struggle immigration wise. So they're just competing for the top Nigerian universities. And like you said, if your long game is a graduate degree, it's okay to get your first degree in Nigeria, and then we'll see where that can take you graduate wise. But for the students that have an opportunity to go abroad, now it's an issue of affordability, right? Parents still want scholarships, and they're starting to find that acceptance is not enough. They need some type of, scholarship as well, whether it's merit or need based. When we met in Accra, Qatar is on the rise because there's a lot of American universities there that are off Northwestern, Georgetown, Carnegie Mellon. They're
Hmm.
offering that same prestige, if you will, but it's at a more affordable rate. And the cost of living in Doha is way cheaper than, Pittsburgh or DC, so Chicago. So you're seeing a shift more to that for US, UK. Malaysia has a lot of partnerships with UK universities. You have University of Reading there, University of Southampton. These are 3-year programs. Well, actually, no. Southampton is a 4-year program where you can do your first 2 years in Malaysia and then your final two in the UK. So you're
Oh,
starting to see, yeah, so you're starting to see a shift where, because of immigration issues, or not even immigration issues, but just like the climate towards international students. You're seeing some Nigerian student parents take a pause from the US, exploring Canada more, UK more, the Gulf, East Asia more to start. And then maybe in the graduate program, they'll come over to the US. So I think what I'm seeing is it's okay if you don't go to US in your first 4 years. You can try to find a more alternative, more affordable pathway. And then maybe in your graduate studies, you can go to the big four, or, more prestigious universities if you have the right co-op, or if you do the right networking in your first undergraduate program.
so you will be perfect. So, in that case, I mean, you are pretty similar to what we are seeing in India, but we have now international brand. You mentioned Southampton. Southampton just opened a branch campus in Delhi
Okay.
last year. We had the first intake, and then we have 17 other foreign universities that are setting up branch campuses. That's what a very interesting trend that I'm also seeing. In India, they have now 18 foreign universities branch campuses. Uh, I think many of them are Australian. 5 or 6 of them are Australian universities. Equal number are UK universities. I mean, we have Illinois Tech from US setting up a campus in Mumbai, and University of York. I mean, lot of very good universities. And you mentioned Doha. I mean, the campuses there again. Agreed. I mean, those are very good opportunities.
Yes, and they give out
Yeah.
scholarships more. Doha, if your grades are right, they have scholarships. I think more so than US. So, a lot of people, they're going to run there, and then you have that opportunity of studying abroad in the US. So, obviously, if you're already a student at a university, doing a semester abroad or a year abroad, in the US portion, and as long as you come back, because, like, for example, I know Northwestern, you have to graduate from there. I don't think any of those universities will allow for you to graduate from the US, but you can at least do a year there a semester or a year there to network, to get to know the markets, the ultimate markets, if you will. So you'll see a lot of families consider that as well.
And Safira, thank you for sharing that information. Can you also talk? We were just talking to career counselors from India, and they mentioned the role of social media in career counseling, where a student feels pressurized by what other students are doing on social media and feels that I mean he or she is not doing enough. What is the trend like in Nigeria? Students under similar kind of pressure, or is it like, I mean, they have a set path? How competitive is the landscape for students to, you mentioned scholarships. Is it easier or getting
Yeah.
tougher? Are the qualifications getting, the demand from universities are going higher? What are you seeing for Nigerian students is the situation there?
It's definitely becoming more competitive. And what I'm finding is redirecting. As a counselor, I'm finding myself redirecting a lot because, certain families are fixed on a certain pathway. And I just, with as the reality is crushing day by day, I just have to offer alternative pathways. For
Mm,
example, going back to what we were saying about medicine and engineering and all those STEM pathways, they're very, very competitive. And sometimes when you look at a student's track record academically, STEM might not be the best fit for them. Like that might not be the best pathway. So I just try to encourage the family to look at other pathways that would boost their chances of acceptance. Because the problem is, for example, I'm just throwing that out there. If, MIT has a 2% acceptance rate for computer science, and you're gung ho on getting into the computer science program at MIT, I think that puts a lot of undue anxiety, hardship, depression on the kids. And when I'm looking at their track record and I'm seeing that, okay, we can look at finance, we can look at accounting, we can look at, you know, nursing, I don't know. And I'm just trying to
yeah.
explain to the parents that, these pathways are just as viable because at the end of the day, you could probably still get into that campus under a different program and switch, or you could still get into a campus in that hub. I push Boston, even though it's very expensive, because of the networking capital there. I push Philadelphia as well. I push DC. I push a lot of cities that have multiple universities. That's why I pushed Qatar, because there's several universities there, as well as Malaysia, which I believe that hub is 30 minutes away from Singapore. So what I try to get the students to see is that there are other ways to get to the end goal other than this prescribed pathway, just to reduce that anxiety, just to reduce that the pending depression and so forth, because it is extremely competitive. The spots are fewer, the
Mm,
prices are rising, the climate is it's a bit, hostile at times, volatile. So you really have to have a strong mind, and some of them don't. So we have to, have this conversation, and it's inevitable. But believe it or not, more families are open to my suggestions, which I'm grateful for, because social media helps with showing the trends of where things are going, and it doesn't have to be those prescribed pathways anymore.
Perfect. Thank you. More power to you. I'm also conscious of the time. We have 8 minutes on this conversation. Audience, we will have the Bangalore counselors, the last session for the day starting at 5:30. We have three leading counselors from Bangalore in India joining in to talk about the Bangalore career counseling landscape. We are speaking to Safira right now. If you have any questions or feedback or comment, please use the chat option to type in the same. My team is monitoring the chat and we'll be asking those questions or comments, sharing those comments on your behalf. Uh, I also want to mention that we are hosting an Intersect Delhi meetup in uh, in 23rd of July on our campus in Gurgaon. So those of you who are interested can join in for that. We have shared the link in the tech chat section. Yeah. Okay. So we have one question from Kapil Bhallaji. Safira, if you want to take that up, when you suggest that parents explore other options for their child, do you also recommend a psychometric assessment to help narrow down suitable career choices? So, are you using any psychometric assessment,
So
Safira?
what I'm using is their academic profiles. For example, I have a student who is phenomenal with English, English, humanities, performing arts. And we just now decided that computer science is no longer going to be the pathway because the grades for humanities and English are just so much stronger and higher and better. So we're looking at programs that have both a strong humanities and computer science departments in the event that the child is accepted into a university through the humanities route. If they want to switch to, this is US, by the way, UK is a bit more rigid, but for US, if they want to switch to computer science later, that's fine. So
Hmm.
typically, I just go with the grades. I go with their extracurricular activities. I go with their community service profile. And then we build like this story, and then we use that story for the personal statement when we're applying to programs.
Perfect. Thank you, Safira. Thank you for answering that.
Sure.
Uh, and then I had shared a lot of questions with you. I mean, we didn't have time to cover all of them. We just covered half of it, not even half, but I just want to run through those as well, summarize some of the questions that we had. And one of the questions I want to take up now is if you have asked Nigerian students 10 years ago what success looked like, and you ask the same question today, how would the answers differ? Is there any different answer that you're seeing?
I think I wouldn't mind concluding with the topic of student well-being. I think well-being is on the rise. I think in the past, Nigerian students and parents just learned to suck it up. And if you got a scholarship in a decent university, you go there, you suck it up, and you make something out of yourself. Like I said, these students coming up, they're vocalizing their anxiety more. They're vocalizing what makes them happy more. And so I think it's no longer about getting a job, but it's more about the quality of life. Like if I obtain these skill sets from this school, what type of quality of life will I have thereafter? What type of jobs or what type of roles could I create for myself and others with this degree? And so that is something that I also would ask for universities coming to Nigeria to consider when they are recruiting students is, what do you have in place for African student well-being, especially if the campus where you're at doesn't have a diverse population, is a bit more homogeneous? Do you have affinity groups for African students? Is there local markets in the area where they can buy food and cook? I think that is something that I want to promote more. I think that's one of the misconceptions I think now is that Nigerian students will go anywhere where a scholarship is thrown at them. That's no longer the case. They are looking at a higher quality of life. They are an asset to the community, and they also want to take something back home to Nigeria. There's a lot of startups, myself included. I was born and raised in the U.S. I'm coming back to Nigeria to try to start up things. So we're going abroad. We want to enjoy our life. We want to obtain the skills, but we want to take something with us to come back and improve Nigeria.
Hmm. Wonderful. What a wonderful note that we can conclude on. Why don't you share your own journey? You said you went to US and then you're back in Nigeria. Tell us a little bit about your journey in US and what took you there and now what brought you back to Nigeria.
Sure, no problem. So I would say that my parents are a product of the brain drain. They went to the US in the 80s and they had me. And, I did very well for myself academically. I went to prestigious secondary schools. I ended up, I didn't really have to pay much for my undergraduate studies. I was able to graduate from the top state university, Maryland College Park. And then from there, I delved into education. I'm in my mid 40s. I've been teaching for over 20 years. As soon as I graduated from undergrad, I was in the classroom. I started my international journey in Dubai about 2014. So that was about 12 years ago. I was in Dubai for 8 years, and then I was in Lagos. This is going on my fourth year. I did international schools there. While I was teaching abroad, I helped build the US pathway to higher education in the Emirati schools where I worked, the American international schools where I worked, because prior it was just UK. When I came to American International School of Lagos, I pretty much helped with cultural responsive pedagogy, localizing the curriculum more as far as getting the students to read Chimamanda Adichie, Chinua Achebe, because you can't be a Nigerian student or any student in a school in Nigeria and not, read these great works. And it was from there, a lot of parents came to me and they were just asking me, hey, can you help me get my child here and there? And so that's how Breaking Grounds Group took off. And even though I am encouraging students to go abroad and get their international education, I'm asking for them to come back, not necessarily to live, but I think the problem with Nigeria, and we could talk about this in the future, is that we're very much driven by external exams. This is the exam, cram for the exam. And yeah, all of our students, they get top marks that go abroad. But as far as the skill sets, where's the collaboration? Where's the communication? Do you know how to do a pitch? If you wanted to do a startup, skills like that, I do think they need to be implemented more in the Nigerian curriculum. And that is what I'm working to do as well, in addition to college career counseling.
Wow, what a fantastic career, and thank you so much for sharing your journey. I mean, very inspiring. I mean, studying at top schools in US and then going on to start working in the classroom at a very young age, straight out of your undergraduate degree, and then going to Dubai. I mean, working in American schools, and then heading off to Lagos, and then now starting on your own. I mean, more power to you, Safira, as a entrepreneur, as a woman entrepreneur from Africa. I mean, having traveled in Africa, I've been blessed to be in around 18 countries on the continent. I know we need people like you in the continent who are building in Africa, contributing, giving back, and then slowly, slowly, it's a long process. I mean, same here in India as in Africa, but we need people, smart people like you, coming back and
Thank you.
giving back, getting that. I think that's the feedback that I have received from a lot of my friends globally in the last few weeks that we have been hosting these virtual conversations, that a lot of this is now happening where people are now thinking of, okay, having the best of the world, going to traveling the world, getting the best, and then contributing back, at least in my inspired network of people like you that I love to be associated with. And yes, when I saw you in Ghana, in Accra, I could feel an energy, and I could sense that, there is a person in you that is looking to give back, and whatever I can contribute and whatever way I can collaborate, will love to keep looking for opportunities in future too. And yeah, rest in God's hand. I mean, we can only do our work and then up to Him. So thank you so much, Safira.